Okay, good evening and thank you for joining. I would ask that all devices be turned off or silenced. The meeting being held tonight is a public meeting being held under the Planning Act and is being live streamed to our YouTube page. Notice of collection of personal information collected as a result of the public meeting is collected under the authority of the Planning Act and will be used to assist in making a decision on this matter. Persons speaking at the meeting are requested to give their names and addresses for recording in the minutes. All names, addresses, opinions, and comments may be collected and may form part of the minutes, which will be available to the public. Additionally, interested members of the public can email the clerk or the Development Services Department if they wish to be notified regarding a particular application. Questions regarding the collection should be forwarded to the Development Services Department. Tonight's meeting is to consider public meeting reports. These reports do contain a staff recommendation, and the recommendation is typically to approve the conditions, defer the application, or to deny. After the planner's presentation, committee members will be able to ask questions of staff, followed by members of the public. Following the question and answer period, this committee then makes a recommendation of the applications to approve, defer, or deny the application. Following committee's decision, notice will be circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. If a person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the committee to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make a written submission to the Township of Stone Mills before the application is provisionally approved, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal this decision. You may call a meeting to order.
Thank you, Cindy. I'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask for approval of the agenda. Moved by Aaron, seconded by Bob. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? All those in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes of November the 20th. I have a moved by Marilyn, seconded by Dieter. Any errors, omissions, or discussion arising out of those minutes? All those in favor? Carried. Severance application B46-2024, parcel D. Harmon, do you want to join us at the table, please? I'll turn it over to you, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I can provide a brief overview as it relates to severed parcel D. As I understand, we'll break these applications apart at this evening's meeting. They are all associated with the same land holding and the same applicant. However, they are individual files under the Planning Act, and we will consider those as individual files for the purposes of tonight's meeting. So severed parcel D that's proposed through this application is the southernmost component of the land holding, which is the developed portion of the property, maintaining frontage on County Road 14, my apologies. There's an existing single-family dwelling. There is an existing multiple existing accessory structures and a former currently unoccupied livestock facility that it would be all maintained on the 2.8 hectare severed parcel D property. In addition to that, as you're likely aware, there is road frontage on County Road 14 that measures approximately 11 meters, which is deficient from a zoning bylaw perspective. And some of the committee members may be questioning why there wouldn't be an associated minor variance application, for example, with this application for severance for consent. And the reason is incorporated within the draft recommendations for tonight's meeting, and that is that the applicant's required to obtain council's approval to rezone the property as a whole, and specifically severed parcel D is required to be rezoned to a site-specific hamlet residential zone that would recognize both the reduced road frontage, but also align with the higher level policies of the county official plan as well as the township's official plan, which has this land holding located entirely within the rural settlement area and the hamlet of Enterprise. In short, the discussion tonight should be more focused around the principle of development and the appropriateness of development given the lot configuration, as opposed to lot frontage, as that's a consideration, that's a site-specific nuance that would be considered at council when they're making a decision respecting the zoning change from rural to hamlet residential, should the application receive committee's provisional approval at tonight's meeting. I think that's an overview of severed parcel D, or proposed severed parcel D. In short, all of the existing structures, including well and septic system that service this existing dwelling, will be maintained on site. There's sufficient setbacks on that proposed lot to ensure that they can all function adequately and be maintained. I also do want to point out that the existing unoccupied livestock facility, through any subsequent rezoning, should we get there, would no longer be permitted to accommodate livestock, given the fact it's located within the village boundary. But the applicant has identified the request to maintain that building and convert it through the building permit process for an accessory structure, car, vehicle garage, storage, et cetera. But that's why it's labeled building on the plan as opposed to barn. I think that covers the proposal for D. I'm happy to answer any questions and also recognize that the applicant is before us that may wish to add anything more than I. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Committee members have any questions or concerns?
Yeah, just in regard to the letter or the email that was sent by your neighbor there, Al Detler, about a right-of-way. Are you aware of what he was asking? Oh, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I apologize. Member Eberhard, I forgot to mention, we have received public communication through the processing of this application. And as you mentioned, Mr. Detler, who has joined us this evening, has provided communication. I've also made the applicant aware of that communication in advance of tonight's meeting so that we could potentially discuss this with the committee. From my understanding, Mr. Detler owns a property address municipally as 14 Amos Street, which is immediately east of the driveway that provides access to proposed severed parcel D, or the existing development on the subject property. And there's a portion of the westernmost portion of Mr. Detler's property, in his opinion, is most easily accessible over the driveway to this proposed severed parcel D, as opposed to traveling up Amos Street to the east side of the existing house. So the communication that was received and discussed between staff and Mr. Detler was that a request made that the applicant potentially acknowledge the fact that an right-of-way or an easement be established over that southernmost corner, southeasternmost corner of the property, so that vehicular access could be maintained to Mr. Detler's property on the east side of that driveway. Staff visited the property multiple times. Mr. Wood provided notice in accordance with the Planning Act, and actually I went out to the property yesterday and to just try to understand this in a bit better detail. And I wasn't really of the same opinion, if you will, with Mr. Detler, because I didn't really see on the ground where vehicular access was needed over that driveway to get to the portion of 14 Amos Street or the subject property. That being said, if the applicant wishes to allow for Mr. Detler to access his property via right-of-way, a subsequent application would need to be submitted to establish that right-of-way and easement over the subject property, and that would be a separate Planning Act application that we would consider and make decision on at essentially a subsequent date. But yes, I do apologize, Member Eberhard, and to Mr. Detler. The comments were provided, the communication was had, and they are a part of our agenda this evening.
Thank you, Jason. Nader, do you have any other concerns or questions?
No, I agree with Jason. I mean, I'm looking at the property, and Amos Street provides more than adequate access to that entire property. When we talk about lots 2, 3, and 4, and I don't see a driveway at the back of the house either, so, I mean, I'll leave that up between him and our applicant here, but I can't see any need for that. But anyways, that's my opinion.
I guess my thoughts are that it's between Mr. Detler and the applicant to come to an agreement. It's not up to this committee here, as far as I'm concerned, to make that decision. Yes, go ahead. Come to the table. Per- There you are.
Okay. I just wanted to make note, like, if you look at my lots, they're, is it 2, 3, and 4, they grade out onto the right-of-way there, and it was always told me that it was right-of-way. And over the years, I've been there for 30 years, and nobody ever said anything about me coming up in behind, bringing in wood and stuff in the back of the property and stuff, and, but there was a guy that was renting the property at one time. He kept saying, no, you don't get off my property. I rent this property. And I kept saying, like, my lawyer told me when I bought the place, he said, you don't own that right of way. You just own all the lots on beside it. But the lots that are on that right of way, as you can see in the picture there, like it goes right up to the right of way. He said that they belong to the right of way, but it's never been classified as a right-of-way, I guess, or something, and I don't know. And if you do a title search on that right-of-way, there's no indication that it owns any parts of my lots there and stuff. And I just wanted to get it clear that I can legally, or nobody can say, you can't go there, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm here for. I don't want to screw anything up for anybody. I just wanted to make it, if I can get something in writing saying that that land is entitled to go up that driveway or use that driveway.
Through you, Mr. Chair, with respect to using the driveway, Mr. Detler, in terms of getting it in writing, if you will, this committee, that's outside of the purview of this committee.
Oh, okay.
In the sense that the decision to severed parcel D, or that southernmost portion of the property, there would be requirements that the applicant need to fulfill. For example, they have to survey that property if this is approved this evening.
Yeah.
And during that process, there'll be an insurance through that survey work of where those lines are and where those property bars are.
Yeah, it's right in there. There's a bar right in the middle of that driveway. I know that.
Okay, so that'll be confirmed, and the total lot area will be confirmed.
Yeah.
But to get it in writing, if you will, for that terminology in terms of access,
Yeah.
we would have to process another application to instill an easement over that chunk of Mr. Harmson's property.
Yeah.
In favor of your property.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, if we were to do that legally, your title would change on your property in the sense that you own this property together with an easement over this chunk.
Which should have been done years ago.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned.
So to do that, we need an application submitted on behalf of your property as opposed to the applicant's. So we can.
I'd have to get a lawyer and a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah, yeah, again, through you, Mr. Chair, you have to essentially navigate this similar process of coming to the Committee of Adjustment to receive approval to establish that right-of-way easement, right-of-way or easement over the neighboring property, subject to the neighbor.
Yeah, I don't want it.
agreeing,
I
right?
don't want no money or nothing. All I wanted was just somebody to say that, yeah, that's a right of way there, sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't think this evening's gonna do that for you.
Yeah, okay, well, okay, thanks.
Anyone else have any concerns or questions pertaining to this severance? Okay, need a mover and a seconder, to either approve or defer. Yes, Bob? Moved by Bob to approve, seconded by Aaron. Any further discussion or concerns? All those in favor? Carried. B47, we got three more here. Do we lump them together, or do you want to do them singly? How do you want to do it?
Can we do them all together?
Can't see any reason why not. Everybody in favor of doing it together? Yes, Jason?
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, you want to give me an overview, but you guys make the decision if you want to hear more.
Okay, we've got to do all three of them together. You want to give us the overview, Jason, no, please?
Sorry for interjecting, Mr. Chair. Yes, I can do that. Severed parcel A, B, and C, again, pertain to this single land holding located within the village of Enterprise. And I forgot to mention, originally, this land holding is known municipally as 2875 County Road 14, as the principal access, as we just understood through that discussion, is via County Road 14. That being said, the northeastern portion of this landholding fronts School Road, north of the Enterprise Public School, and that's where these three severed parcels are proposed to be located. 45 meters of road frontage and half a hectare of lot area. All three are consistent in size, regular in shape, and proposed to be developed in the future with a single-family dwelling or residential uses. You'll also note just north of severed parcel A, a small portion of land that's been identified as potential lot addition. The civic address escapes me at the moment of the existing small property that fronts School Road that's already developed with a single-family dwelling. But as you can see, it's very undersized and with respect to today's standards. And the applicant has drawn it so that there's the potential for a 0.3 of a hectare lot addition to the rear of that existing already developed landholding to allow for consistency and uniform parcel configuration in that area. So there's no application today for that. We just wanted to identify, or the applicant wanted to identify that through the submission process. As it relates to the three severed parcels, A, B, and C, again, they are all located within the hamlet village, the hamlet boundary, sorry, and the 0.5 of a hectare is what the minimum lot area requirement is in that area, subject to a hydrogeological study, proving that there's adequate water on each of those lots, and it won't adversely affect the neighboring lots and the existing development that exists in the area, including, and most prominently, Enterprise Public School. So the 45, and then secondly, the 45 meters of road frontage that's proposed is the requirement per the hamlet residential zone, and as we discussed on the original application, these applications are also subject to a rezoning application that would need to be approved by council at a subsequent approval stage to change the zoning from rural to hamlet residential, which again is consistent with the higher level policies of the rural settlement area and the hamlet designation in the two official plans at the county and at the township level. As I mentioned previously, and we discussed, Mr. Detler provided commentary, but it was more focused, I think, towards that severed parcel D. We've not received any commentary specific to severed parcels A, B, and C, fronting School Road. However, I do note, obviously, there's a few gentlemen in the audience that may wish to provide that at tonight's meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions if it does come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Committee members have any concerns or questions? Yes, Dave?
Okay. My concern with these three lots is that I'm looking at the aerial photography here. Is there any chance you can put up aerial photography on that, or the township mapping that shows this? It's nice that, you pick out the minimum required is 45 meters, so you got 45 meters, 45 meters, 45 meters, and you end up 3 or 4 meters south of a huge fence row. And, I don't understand, the reasoning behind this, is that just doesn't make any sense to me, to leave gaps like that. We've done this once before. So basically, that Lot C, to me, I think should be extended, the south limit should be extended to the fence row, like this huge fence row here. So why leave a small gap in there? Makes no sense to me.
You're on the air.
I measured it out with a tape measure, and I think would make them a little bit bigger, maybe, the lots to like 46 meters. Might take them to the fence row, but ideally, taking them to the fence row would be an ideal situation.
I agree 100%. I mean, you say, okay, we'll make each a little bigger, or we'll make the last one a little bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a condition we can put on, but whatever is the easiest way to do it. Okay, can you blow that up there at all? Oh, I mean the actual, can we get it?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't have to be reapplied.
Exactly. I'll figure
Yeah.
something out.
I would have to say that makes sense to run it to the fence row and make
Okay,
each
we're
lot.
getting there. Okay, that's it. You can see that just north of the school, there's that fence row there. So if you go 45, 45, 45, you run short of the huge fence row. And, to me, it just makes logic sense to extend that. So, maybe the easiest way is just to extend the last lot a little, make it 50 meters or something.
And now if the surveyors get out there and it does end up being, like you originally thought, shorter, does that become an issue if one of the lots is, say, 44 meters instead of 45?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it can, yeah. We need to figure that out before we proceed to council on the zoning amendment, because if it's lesser than 45, it technically wouldn't comply with the Hamlet residential zone requirement. So if it were 44, we'd have to pick that up as a site-specific zone and establish that to ensure that it's compliant with zoning, basically. And if, essentially, from what I understand, if we split the frontage between the northernmost lot line and that fence row, generally you're in agreement, and I don't want to poll committee at this stage, but committee may be as well, and if that's the case, I can draft a condition right now on the fly. Dieter can propose it in the sense that it was his condition, and we can apply it to all three of these severed lots to ensure that it's reflected and captured not just in the minutes, but also in the conditioning, if that's the desires of the chair.
They're definitely not going to be shorter than 45 because you can do the measurement even on Google Earth. I don't think you have to worry about that.
I feel it should ought to be added to each one of the lots to make sure that they're not undersized. Makes sense? So I would have to say, Jason's suggestion, he'll draft up and it'll be a condition. So we'll give him a couple of minutes to draft that up, and then we'll go from there.
It's strange because the lots just north of your development, we did the same thing there. They had them, and we moved them, just moved them to the fence lines, which made a lot of sense. So this just came up too as well. So.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and to those on committee and as the applicant as well, I've drafted a condition that I think may capture the intent of that discussion, and I'm looking for feedback, of course, and we'll consider it moving forward. That the applicant recognize that a well-established fence row is located in the northeasternmost portion of the subject property that ought to be considered in future land division. The lands located between the fence row and the northernmost lot line that are proposed to be severed into 3 parcels, severed parcel A, severed parcel B, and severed parcel C, shall be divided so that there is no remnant portion of land retained between the southernmost lot line of severed parcel C and the fence row.
That suit you, Dieter?
Yes, it does.
You happy with that? Okay, need a mover and a seconder to either approve? Yes, Aaron? Sorry?
Just one question. Is that it? Just regarding the wording of the condition, we had highlighted just kind of the concern about if the distance dipped below the minimum requirement, do we need some language in that condition to safeguard that that doesn't happen through this process to ensure that they still meet the requirements for the residential hamlet rezoning application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Member O'Gara, you ask a great question, and ultimately the onus is on the applicant as opposed to the committee in that situation. From an advice perspective, I would advise not to proceed to council for the rezoning until that's confirmed with a surveyor. But should the applicant proceed to council and not have that verified, there may be a need to then reapply to council. So we can discuss that at staff's level with the applicant directly to ensure that we get there. But I don't, in my opinion, committee doesn't need to make ultimate inclusion in a condition as that's really a responsibility of them.
Thank you for clarifying. And I'll just leave that with you as your little bit of to-do notes.
Yes, Bob?
I did. Did you come close to the fence, or? I was about 3 to 4 meters north of the tree line when I measured them. It was when I done the septic test holes. I just kind of quickly measured. But it could be, I measured the 100-foot tape, so it could be off by a little bit, but there is enough to get the move it. They can still have 45 feet. I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll just finish that. You don't have to take my expertise as a surveyor. It definitely is more than 3 times 45 meters there. There's no question of it. No question of it.
There is more.
Black and
Yeah.
white. Oh, yeah.
I would have to say, just by sight of the eye, that it's more than covered. Anyhow, Dieter, you make that a motion to approve? Bob, you second it? Any further discussion? All those in favor? And that's on A, B, and C. Okay. Have a good evening. Anybody have any other business? Anybody in the audience have any other business? Okay. Our staff has made a recommendation that our meeting in January be canceled, which is understandable when it's so close to holidays and staffing to get anything proposed for us. So our next meeting will be in February. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn. All right, sorry. We need a motion to cancel the meeting. Moved by Aaron, seconded by Marilyn. We'll keep the women on board. All those in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Marilyn, seconded by Bob. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas.